Hi guys, Skateboard to Death here. This is going to be a little bit of a different video. I wouldn't consider it a video blog. I'm taping on my Digicam again because Dad needs his DVD camera. But the topic of today is ranting. We're going to go on a little rant. We're going to go on a mild catharsis, an angry catharsis. And this rant is about a teaching assistant from year 11 in my high school. Her name will be known as Miss Patrick. I will not say her full name. I refuse to give her credit. If you're watching this, Miss Patrick, go screw. You will understand in a minute why I have so much spite for her to this day. To this day. And I left high school 2 fucking years ago. The very first incident I've had was with Miss Patrick wasn't even 7 days into the year. It was a Monday. We started school on a Wednesday, so it wasn't exactly a week, but it was technically week 2. So, we're in the gym, we're like half an hour or so in, and then Miss Patrick asks me and a friend of mine, Jack, to help her out. I think either help her out or she was giving us bibs. So she gives me and Jack a bib. But she got it wrong. She had Jack on the wrong team and she had me on the wrong team. So I tell her that, and she says, she acknowledges it. She's like, oh, I messed up. And I said, that's silly. I turn around, start walking. I said, she's bugging, in that tone, as I was talking to Jack. And she flips out over a word, or so I thought. I'll explain in a minute. So she says, excuse me, what did you just say? And I turn around, I talk to her saying, it's slang. Like, it's millennial slang. And she says, I don't care. She disregarded what I said. She says, I don't care. You don't say things like that. What do you do when you hurt a teacher's feelings? Or something like that. I don't know. I don't remember what she said exactly. But then she responds saying, you say sorry. Like I didn't know that, bitch! Like, that was stupid. I refused to apologize to her. I didn't say sorry that moment. And I continue with my day. I go home, I tell my dad about it, because I thought it was stupid. But then he sides with her. Now, reasonably, this was the first incident I had with her. So it's understandable why he would side with the teaching assistant, right? But later on he comes to my side, considering how much shit I had to deal with her. Incident 1. Issue 2. I was in college. We were on a trip to the music school, the music part of the building. And it was the 3rd Friday that we were there. The tutor was talking, I was listening, while at the same time I was tuning my guitar. I felt like I knew what I was doing. No, I definitely knew what I was doing. We were doing the same task as we did last week. And he was just explaining some key features of the program that we were using. It was Fruity Loops Studio. And I listened to some of it, and I already knew a bit about the program anyway. And I keep tuning my guitar, making sure it sounds right. And then she hears what I'm doing. And she comes up from where she was sat in the middle of the room, comes up to me, saying, why are you messing with your guitar while the teacher is talking? And I said, I know what we're doing. And she says, no you don't, you're not listening. And I said, I do! I am! And she says, don't you talk to me like that. You're getting this guitar back after he finishes. And she snatches my guitar, my 200-pound guitar, It could have been higher. It could have been like but she snatched it aggressively. She had no care for it in the world. She handled that thing like an abusive mother with her baby, rattling it instead of cradling it. And eventually, teacher finishes talking, and we get on with our lesson. But here's the thing. It was exactly the lesson I thought it was going to be. It was the same one from last week. And I knew it was going to be. So I got told off for nothing. Oh yeah, speaking of nothing, I almost forgot to tell you this. I had my other teaching assistant, Miss Rayner, that appears on the rest of the week alongside another teaching assistant that's alright. And, oh boy. I tell her about the incident, about the bugging incident, and she lets me know that she'll go ask her about it, and ask her if she was offended by that word. And she does. I allow her to do it. But then when she comes back to me later on after break, after recess, I ask her about it, and she says no, Miss Patrick was not offended by that word. So what the fuck was I told off for? That was gay as fuck. I get told off for nothing. That's gay. Anyways, third incident, and this is probably the worst moment of the school year, right? The worst moment of the school year. We were doing a Christmas play before, Christmas break, and Miss Patrick offers me a job for preparing the show, for the choreography. She asks me to make a pamphlet with my artistic skills, and so I hop on my computer at home. I accepted her offer. By the way, this is a drawing of Kanye I made last year. I didn't finish it. I'll finish it soon. That was the homage to the Kanye quote, George Bush doesn't care about black people, during the Hurricane Katrina disaster. But anyways, you'll see that in another video. Back to the topic. I get it done. I get the drawing done for the pamphlet, and I bring it in on my dad's camera, this old DV cam which you have seen me record on since the start of the channel and finish recording during. I show her on my camera, and she says, it's good, but could you change the scenery up a little bit? It was Snow White, by the way. So I change it. I accept that request. I go back home the afternoon and change the scenery. It was an ocean. Changed the scenery of the castle to a forested location. So it was no longer on the seaside. I bring it in next day on the camera again, and she says, no, it wasn't her again. It was my main teacher. And she says that, it's good, but can you change the text up a little bit? I accepted that. I went back home, fixed it up a little bit. I go back home, I fix it up, change the text around on MS Paint, and I bring it in. It was her and Miss Patrick again. It was Monday. And she says, they both say, yeah, but you're using too much ink. It's gonna print, do you think we'll have enough for 200 pamphlets? And I was like, it's pixelated. It's pixel art. It doesn't use that much color. And I was baffled by that. Because, like, they asked me to do it. What else do you want me to do? How do you want me to make this better? How do you want me to make this better? And I just figured they weren't going to use it, and they didn't. In fact, in a moment of fucking betrayal, the show comes around, and I realize that Miss Patrick printed her own version of the pamphlet which used images from Google. So she made a pamphlet from pictures that wasn't even hers. And it used more fucking ink than I did. And I was pissed off. I felt betrayed. It hurt to see that. I wanted to rip it apart. I wanted to rip all of them apart. Because nobody saw the work that I could have been credited for. It's just retarded. What's this? Little bug. Bed bug. Little bed bug. Get the fuck out of here. Fourth incident, right? She calls me to wash some dishes in the kitchen of the classroom. We had a fancy classroom for year 11. It was Miss Rayner, right? It was Miss Rayner. She asked me a rhetorical question, like I couldn't say no. To wash the dishes with Miss Patrick. And I say, fine, I'll do it. And I'm washing it my own way, right? Like I'm using my own method that my dad has taught me in regards to washing dishes. Plates, forks, spoons. You get the gist. And she says, you have to use the bowl, right? You have to use the bowl. I have to fill the bowl up with hot soapy water. It was a tub, like a little tub of water. No, actually, it was the whole sink. But I know the aerodynamics. She says, I say I know the aerodynamics of water. I didn't know what I was saying back then. I have autism, so I didn't know much on how to talk right back in the day. And I'm using this channel I'm using this YouTube thing to improve my speech. And I feel like I'm doing a great job at it, somewhat. But yeah, I was meant to say something about like thermodynamics, aerodynamics, whatever it is. Water projection, like trajectory. I know how the water's gonna go. Because she thought I was gonna make a mess with the water. And she says, she uses my own words against me, is what she does. She says, no, you have to follow the uniform of school. I will teach you the aerodynamics of water. So she uses my own words against me. In a very fucking insulting way. And I was fuming at that. Even if it is part of the school uniform, or like, you know, policy company, like company policy, it hurt my feelings having my own words be used against me. It hurt. And this was around the time that my dad was starting to defend me. Oh my gosh, I just remembered. I was... This ticked me off the most. We were in the computer room in music. It was the end of the day, we were packing up. Miss Patrick notices I'm still on my computer. I finish up. She says, hey, Ren, can you finish up your work, please, and shut down the computer? And I say yes. And I was struggling to find the shutdown button because these were Mac computers. These were iMacs. And as you can see, I work with a Windows computer, so I struggled to find the shutdown button. And then she comes around from the corner of my eye. She puts her face dead in front of mine, giving me a death stare. And she calls my name. I told her I'm shutting the fucking computer down. I didn't swear at her. But I wish I fucking told her how pissed I was. She was in my personal fucking space, giving me eye contact that pierced my fucking skull. It pierced my skull. You don't fucking stare at autistic people. They don't like eye contact like that. She is not fit for a special school. I went to a special school in my high school years. I was in a mainstream primary school, but I was in a secondary school for the disabled, the mentally challenged. But you don't fucking make eye contact like that. She was definitely a mainstream teacher. So that disturbed me. Besides that, I don't remember anything else. They probably don't even remember any of those incidents anymore. But I still do. Because when I'm wronged, even though I knew there was nothing to wrong me for, it stays in my fucking head. It stays with me my entire fucking life. Which is why I'm explaining it to you right now. Because, you know, if she was gonna win in ruining my school year, because 2004 was the worst fucking year I've ever had. Besides, you know, 9/11. Even though I wasn't even affected by that. Then why not call her out on, you know, the internet? Why not call her out on YouTube? Why not call her out on Facebook or MySpace? Get that bitch by the balls. Anyways, Miss Patrick, like I said, if you're watching this, go screw yourself. I hope you have a nice life. You're never getting me back. This is my fucking world now. I'm skating. I'm doing nollie tricks while you're sitting away at your lousy little computer getting all miserable in that hell space that you created. And your only way of taking out your anger is taking it out on children who have done nothing wrong or have done things that weren't even supposed to be worthy of telling off, but they are in your eyes. So, have at it, bitch. But just know that people know what type of bitch you are. Anyways, skateboard to death, signing out. Peace, motherfucker.